Hey guys, how's it going? John here for the part 2 of the Learning C++ series. So today we're going to be going over just some basic input-output using the cout stream and then the cin. So essentially what these are is they're just forms of ways to output, as cout implies, it has the word out in it, and cin for taking input. So basic example here, I have an integer called apples, and I say cout, which is basically like output, and then I have this the insertion operator. So I'm inserting into it, how many apples do you have? And then I take in from the input stream, and I extract that, and I put it into apples. So now in apples, it's going to be storing whatever I typed in via the keyboard. And then I say cout, you have how many of your apples I put in from the variable up here. And then apples, and then I go to the next line. So same thing, go down with doubles. It doesn't really matter the data type. So I just ask the same question using cout. Then I put the string that I want to display. And then I say cin pairs. I take the input and store it into double pairs. And then I simply display how many pairs I have again once in a while. Now I have 3 strings, so it's a little different for strings as we're going to show here, but once a little bit of practice you can get the hang of it. So we're going to comment this out really quick. I'm going to show you something neat. So here we're just going to be using cin. We're going to use cin, that's like what we were using before, to store things in our variables. And you're going to notice something that's interesting. So we have cout, what's your name? And then we're going to take cin the name, what's your quest, what's your favorite color, and then we're going to display it all. And if you get the Monty Python reference, then I'm glad. Alright, so we're going to run it. It's going to run down here in the bottom. How many apples do we have? We're going to say 4. And we have how many pairs do we have? We're going to display a decimal, so we'll put like 4.76, which is not realistic, but doesn't matter. See, shows it out. What's my name? So if I put just my name, works. See, now I'm using all one-word answers. So displays it all properly. But now what's going to happen if I have 2-word answers? So again, I'm just going to put in some different outputs. And now I'm going to put a second letter there. Okay, got that. Oh, what happened here? See how it kind of jumbled this? So essentially what happened was this is stored in a buffer. Cin just takes the first little input that you take here, and then you see the white space here. So it doesn't really know what to do with that, so it just stores D in the buffer, and then it stores it into quest. So basically quest like got D, and so it already took that input. So if I say favorite color, yellow, look. So my name is John, quest is D, favorite color is yellow. We're just going to go over that one more time. So I put in 2 things. I put in John and then I put in D after this first prompt. It took in cin name, just John, and then it stored D in the buffer, because when input comes in, it gets stored in this buffer. So kind of imagine that like it's like a loading station. And then once it gets to the loading station, it disperses it accordingly based on the directions that you give it. And in this case, cin just takes 1 piece from the buffer at a time. So we have John that gets stored, and then D is still in the buffer, and then it sees cin to quest, so it stores D in quest. And then it does the same thing for favorite color once we have more. So we'll see here then. If we want it once more, let's try this. What if I enter 3 things? Look at that. So it stored the buffer. We have John for name, quest is J, favorite color is D. So once again, it's just this white space that's causing it to be stored in the buffer instead of in the variable. And so now, if we change, it changes to getLine. So essentially what getLine does is it's a different function that's in the string class, and we'll talk more about classes later, obviously. But anywho, what it's basically doing is it's going to taking a whole line of output, so it's not worrying about that white space that we have. So if I run this now, 4.5, what's my name? So now I can put as many letters as I want. See, took it. Now it asked me for Quest to be a better coder. Took it as well. See, and now it took the whole line, so we don't have to worry about instances in this case where it's only going to be taking part of it. So that whole buffer thing isn't really relevant with getLine. And if you're wondering how this function call works, so if we just call getLine and then we say the stream that we want it to come from, and we'll talk more about streams later, but all you need to know now, if it's coming from the keyboard, you just say cin, and then the variable that you want to store the add input it in. So this is something useful that you can use later with like file input. So if you have a file that's external and you want to read something in, you can use this, and this would be like an fstream object. And what's going on here, we'll talk about if-else statements later in a later video, so don't worry about that now, but just know that it's essential to the function of what's going on. So that's about it. Once again, just in short, you use cout for output, and then you do cin for apples. And one thing that I will say that's useful for remembering, you're always putting the arrows towards the place where it's going. So if we want to put this string here out, we're going to put the arrows pointing towards out. But if we're taking something from in and we want to store it in apples, we're going to point the arrows toward apples. So just kind of intuitive. And as you can see, of course, we can chain these to combine different parts together. So without further ado, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe, stick around for some later videos, and I'll see you guys later.